And for more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by former Washington Post columnist Ronald Kessler. He's also the author of the book, The First Family Detail: Secret Service Agents Reveal the Hidden Lives of the Presidents. And we also have with us, Skyping in from Northern Virginia, the chairman of conservativehq.com, Richard Viguerie. Gents, as always, we appreciate your time here on Newsmax Prime. And Richard, let me go to you first. What was your reaction to Mitt Romney's remarks earlier today?
Well, kind of mixed feelings, J.D. I wish he had shown that same amount of articulateness, passion, energy, drive as in 2012 as he did today. But, the thing that he's complaining about is really driven to a large extent because of him and his friends in the Republican leadership. The reason that the grassroots is going to Trump is because of the failures, the lies, the political corruption of the Republican establishment, which Mitt Romney epitomizes. So his criticism rings hollow. We didn't see that in 2012. We don't believe it coming from him now. And quite frankly, the more people like Mitt Romney attack Trump, the more his popularity increases. So, as I've said before, there's only two people that can stop Trump, and that's Trump himself or the conservatives. Anytime the Republican establishment goes after Trump, it drives his numbers higher.
And we should note for the record, Richard Viguerie is behind the candidacy of Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Ron Kessler, a little different situation for you. You've reported on Romney. You've written about Trump. You know both men. Your reaction to what is being termed as this Republican Civil War?
Well, I still think that Romney would have been a great president, but what he's done now is really going to just create a backlash, as Richard was indicating. People are going to become even bigger supporters of Donald Trump. And that just underscores why he was such a bad candidate. Ran a retrograde campaign, was out of touch with voters, out of touch with this anger that you're now seeing that's supporting Trump. And what was even more disappointing to me was the number of misleading comments that he made, because I always thought of him as a very principled guy. And the biggest was the claim that Donald Trump is not a good businessman. When Donald's father died in 1999, Donald was already worth $1.5 billion, according to Forbes. And his father left only $20 million, which was distributed among 4 siblings. So it was a total lie to claim that he was not a businessman who had started this business for himself.
It's interesting, Ron, and I want to follow up on something you said here. You think this will redound to Trump's benefit. You know, you look back, a couple of weeks ago it was the Pope. Then last week it was former Mexican President Vicente Fox. What is it about Trump and the timing of these remarks from people?
Well, Donald just taps into a nerve among conservatives who feel that they've been let down by the establishment. He's simply likable. People love to watch him, love to be entertained by him. He attracts Democrats, and he's going to create a much broader message. You already saw an indication of that with his comments from Palm Beach, in which he talked about unifying the party, unifying the country, because that is really what he's like. I know him behind the scenes. I've known him for 20 years. And the real Donald Trump is someone who reaches out to both sides. That's how he's built his company, getting support from politicians on both sides, running a very, very efficient operation. I did a story this week, which Newsmax featured, about how he runs his company, how he holds people accountable. If they do make mistakes, he does blow up, but he doesn't hold a grudge. 5 minutes later, he has forgotten about it. And just a very good businessman. But he is purposely creating this caricature of himself right now to create attention, to create media buzz.
You know, it's interesting, Ron, you talk about a caricature of Trump. Let me turn back to Richard Viguerie, who spent a lot of time on the Hill and leading the conservative movement. Earlier today, John McCain said he came out in full support of Romney. Now, Richard, to you and other grassroots conservatives, isn't that like pouring gasoline on the fire in terms of this impression of establishment dictates and establishment control?
Absolutely. As I said earlier, the more the establishment, the more the John McCains, the Mitt Romneys, the Washington Republicans, the more they attack Trump, the higher his numbers go. People at the grassroots are white hot with anger, JD, at the betrayal of people like Mitt Romney and the Republican leaders. The number one thing, let me just say, that we need to win in November, above everything else, literally number one, is the Republicans must have a united party. And quite frankly, Donald Trump cannot unite the Republican Party, nor can Rubio, the candidate that I'm supporting. Cruz is the one that can unite the party with his vice presidential choice, and we can have a big victory. Donald Trump is quite capable of winning this election, but he's also quite capable of getting 35-40% of the vote and destroy the Republican Party. The Democrats have not begun to define him, and they're not going to say a whole lot until the day after the Republican nomination. And if it's Trump, they're going to unleash approximately $1 billion of opposition research. It's going to be hard for Donald Trump to break 35-40% once the Democrats start their opposition attacks.
And with the 2 minutes remaining, Ron Kessler, the Hill newspaper, is reporting that up on Capitol Hill, a goodly number of senators and congressmen, in fact, 24 prominent Republicans, have already announced they will not support Trump if he is the nominee for president. And the Romney speech today echoes that. Does that really mean a pitched civil war will continue throughout this campaign and perhaps beyond for the Republican Party?
This is all conventional thinking, which we now know has been totally wrong. In fact, back in 2011, I did a story on Newsmax saying, don't underestimate Trump for the president, and yet almost every pundit since his announcement has said he would never win, he'll never go anywhere. These endorsements mean nothing. The traditional support, the traditional advertisements, the commercials, none of that means anything. Look at Jeb Bush.
And to that end, being unconventional, it's interesting to hear the media buzz out there. And Ron, with a minute that remains, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up a New York Magazine report saying that Fox chief Roger Ailes has told people he's lost confidence in Marco Rubio and Rubio's ability to win. Sources tell New York Magazine he told host at his network that Fox was, quote, finished with Rubio in this unconventional year. Is that bad news? Will that kill Rubio's campaign? 20 seconds.
No, I don't believe that report because, Fox has been so fair to all the candidates, including Donald. I think Megyn Kelly's questions were perfectly legitimate. And they're just doing a superb job. They have people on both sides. They have all the candidates. They invite them all. So the idea that somehow Fox has this conspiracy going against a certain candidate or for a certain candidate, I think is pure rubbish.
Well, some folks on the conservative side think there's a fox in the hen house, or at least with presidential selection. Richard Viguerie, we're going to bring you back real soon. Ron Kessler, the same. Again, the name of Ron's book is The First Family Detail. Secret Service agents revealed the hidden lives of the presidents. We'll be back to shed more light on this campaign when we continue.